Kids must play. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
We're entering into a season of the year that is quite happy and quite joyful. I remember way back when I was serving Cottesville Church. I had a young lady that had attended the Cincinnati Bible College, graduated, came back to work in the church with me. But she had a job in one of the retail stores in Titusville. And I remember her saying one time, "Boy, I hate for this season to come around because you have to deal with all the people." I thought of that this past week, especially when I saw some of the things that were taking place on, quote, Black Friday. Fights in the aisles, people shooting guns at each other because of the circumstances. And I wonder what God thinks in the celebration of his birthday of his son, when he looks down and sees all this. I just wonder what he thinks. There are times that I wish my memory were better than what it is. I've always prided myself on having a good memory, and by the way, at my age, I still work at it very hard. Ruth could tell you that when we're sitting down watching television in the evening, I will look at her at times to come up with some trivia questions for her. She looked at me the other day and said, "Dad, why do you do that to me?" And I said, "Ruth," I said, "that's my effort to keep my mind sharp." And I talk about that all the time. But there was something that took place in my family. And I can't remember who it was, nor when the occasion was, nor too much about it. My mind's almost 95% blank as far as this is concerned. And I have been praying all week long that I could remember more of the details of this than what I can. But I think that one of the reasons why I can't remember is not because of my age now, but the age when it happened. Because vaguely, I see myself as a small child, not even in school yet, when it took place. So we're talking about going back some 80 years to try to remember something that happened when I was 3 or 4 years of age. Now remember, that's kind of hard for an old man. Some of you, when you get as old as I am, might realize what I'm talking about. But my dad's family had a pet expression that they used often during the early years of my life. I think it was my Aunt Agnes, my dad's sister, that made this statement. I'm not sure. But the Sunday after Thanksgiving, we always made it a practice to go to her house to finish up the leftovers that she had in her house. And she was so happy to get rid of the leftovers, she says, "Good, I now can start cooking again." I remember her saying that oftentimes. But the expression that they would use was this: Thanksgiving is a gateway to a joyous Christmas season. What they meant by it, as far as I can remember, is very simple. That by counting your blessings at Thanksgiving time that we have from God, it helps us to appreciate God's gift of his Son to us all the more. And by remembering the gift of his Son, it helps to make the season a happy season. I know my kids have a pet expression, and I think it's more joking around than real meaning. although Steve worked in retail for an awful while, but long. But when it comes Christmas time, I hear the expression, bah humbug. They get, even now, Ruth looked at me the other day and says, Dad, what are we going to do for Christmas? And they look forward to it. You think of the joy and the happiness and the excitement of love that is expressed at Christmas time. I think it's the most wonderful time of the year. And during the next month, until after Christmas is over, I'm going to be trying to preach positive sermons. We're going to accentuate the positive. We're going to try to eliminate the negative. And it sounds like a song to me, doesn't it to you? And we're going to be emphasizing some of the things about Christmas that I think are joyous, happy times. However, in this particular year, and I think it's worse this year than maybe in other years, that there are so many negative things in the world that have taken place. The immorality that's being accepted by society. The war that's taken place, or the skirmish that's taken place in Afghanistan, and in Syria, in the Middle East. The injustice that you see taking place in legal society. And we can go make a list of the negative things. I think it's going to be even harder this year to really find true happiness, true joy, and true blessing during the Christmas season. Chicago announced this past week about their police officer being held for murder for shooting a black boy 16 times. Jokingly, I made a comment that Chicago was going to experience a true Black Friday. And bargains were going to be galore. Isn't it a shame? First of all, that things like that happen. But most of all, that people express themselves in such a negative way. I didn't mean to detail a lot of these things that were happening. But I think of the angel's message to the shepherds. And I'm going to read that right now because I think it's very important. Then we're going to go back and look at it. In Luke, the 2nd chapter, where Luke records from Mary's viewpoint the birth of Jesus. And after Jesus brought forth her firstborn child and laid him in a manger in swaddling clothes, this is what the scriptures have to say. And there were in the same country shepherds abiding in the field, keeping watch over the flock by night. And lo, the angel of the Lord came upon them, and the glory of the Lord shone round about them. And they were sore afraid. I think I would have been too. And the angel said unto them, Fear not, for behold, I bring you good tidings of great joy, which shall be to all people. For unto you is born this day in the city of David a Savior, which is Christ the Lord. And this shall be a sign unto you, ye shall find the babe wrapped in swaddling clothes, lying in a manger. And suddenly there was with the angel a multitude of the heavenly hosts, praising God and saying, Glory to God in the highest, and on earth peace, goodwill toward man. And it came to pass, as the angels were going away from them into heaven, the shepherds said one to another, Let us now go even unto Bethlehem and see this thing which has come to pass, which the Lord hath made known unto us. The very first thing that comes to my mind as I look at that is what time of year was this? The shepherds were in the field, keeping watch over their flocks by night. That would almost forbid Christ being born in December. What do you think of that? The Christmas holiday is based upon a pagan holiday, the celebration of Ra, R-A, which was the sun god. And the Roman people would celebrate the fact that the sun was returning back to their area, and they would have festivals and all that to the sun god Ra. And that's why this season was chosen to be the Christmas season. You look it up in any good encyclopedia, it will tell you the same thing. To the best of my knowledge, Ruth thinks Jesus was born around in April. No, Tara said that. To the best of my knowledge, he was born in October. And there's a technical way in which that was determined. But you look at some of the things the angel said. And the angel said unto them, fear not, for behold, I bring you good tidings of great joy. And let me simply say, when I read that idea of good tidings of great joy, that we're talking about something that is eternal. The gospel message is still today good tidings of great joy. It has never ceased not to be. I don't know if you have ever sat down with somebody that's never heard the gospel and started telling them about the gospel, and they are amazed. Amazed. But notice it says, which shall be to who? All people. That doesn't mean just to those who are Christian. It means to everybody. When Christ came into this world, he came into the world with the idea that he was going to die for the sins of everyone, not only to those that accepted him. But let's go on. The 11th verse of that text. For unto you is born this day in the city of David a Savior. Why do we need a Savior? One of the problems of early day, I'm talking about back in the 1st century, evangelism, was that the pagan people did not believe that they needed a Savior. They believed in what was called paganistic evolution. Darwin, by the way, was responsible for naturalistic evolution, in which everything occurred naturally. The pagan people believed that their gods started the earth and allowed it to develop through evolution. And they evolved upward. Remember, they weren't sinners. They were doing what was naturally. Therefore, why would they need a Savior? In first chapter of 1 Corinthians, and I'm going to lay off the subject right now. There is a passage in Scripture that says that the gospel is a stumbling block to the Jews and foolishness to the Gentiles, or the Greek. And the idea is stumbling block because the Jews were looking for an earthly kingdom in which they were going to be the predominant race. The Greeks were not even familiar with sin. Whatever comes naturally, you do it. And by the way, that's the effect of evolution today. You teach people they're nothing but animals, they're going to act like that. And then we find it goes on. And suddenly there was with the angel a multitude of the heavenly host, praising God and saying, praising God. Sometimes people think we're lunatics by what we do. Many years ago, I was teaching business college. Enjoyed it. Enjoyed a lot of the things. But there was a man there that, he was hateful to Christians. He blamed God for the death of his mother. And he really showed a lot of anger towards all Christians, even me. I remember one day I was sitting at my desk and I had pulled out my Bible to work on a sermon that I was going to preach. Nobody was there that I knew of except me. He walked in. He saw me reading the Bible. Boy, I wish you could have heard what he said. I would not repeat it even in the darkest alley. And I looked at him after he was done. And I called him by name and I said, I don't care what you say. God still loves you. Boy, he walked out of that room, stomped out, slammed the door to my where I had my classroom, and screamed at the top of his voice, I hate you. I have no idea whether he's referring to me or to God. If he's referring to both of us, I was in good company. Several years later, I ran into him on the street. And he looked at me and he said, Phil, he said, Mr. Faust, he said, I apologize for that day. But I went home, and the fact that you told me, even after I said what I did, that God still loved me, caused me to really think about it and to pray. I am now going to church, and I'm a deacon in my church. Praising God. And this is glory to God in the highest, and on earth peace. Oh, wouldn't it be nice to have peace? Wouldn't it be great? Peace and goodwill toward me. I firmly believe, and you might differ with me, but I firmly believe that the answer to all the world's problems lies through Jesus Christ. Every problem can be resolved through the peace that we have with God, the peace we have one with another, and the peace that we have in our congregations. Goodwill towards men. I'm not going to be able to finish my sermon. We'll probably pick it up next week. But several years ago, I was in college. Willie said earlier that he dreamt about me, and he couldn't tell me what he dreamt about. He asked me if I was ornery when I was a kid. I had to agree I was, but I was down here in Grayson, Kentucky. And as I was then in Grayson, Kentucky, my room became a little lunchroom. I had snacks galore in my room. My mom would send me homemade cookies and things like that. And whenever they came in, I think the kids had a nose to know that I just got a box or I went through there. And I had people come to my room quite often. I had coffee. People enjoyed drinking the coffee. And I enjoyed the fellowship that we had. But every once in a while, I had an expression at that time. I don't use it anymore because I found out that it hurts some people's feelings. But when a knock would come to my door, somebody was looking for something to eat, my answer was, if you're white, come on in. Now you've got to understand that everybody who was a student at the college at that time was white. I didn't realize that there were some that had other blood in him because other than Caucasian. We had a Mexican boy that was 50% Indian, 50% white. And he took exception to that. And one day he was in the room, came in with some of the other ones. Knock came to my door, and I used my pet expression, if you're white, come on in. I kid you not, he came after me with a knife. He was that upset. And one of the other boys grabbed a hold of him and says, for him to go back to his room and room department. I went up to his room afterwards, sat down and talked to him. And I had told him, I said, I know that you're not going to be able to go home for Christmas. Why don't you come home with me to my home? He did. We spent Christmas together. We had a ball, just in all things. Until the day he died, Lonnie and I were the best friends. Happened to be over the church at Ironton one night with my wife. Who would walk in but Lonnie? And afterwards I walked up to him and says, Lonnie, do you remember me? He says, how can I forget you? He held out a Bible and says, Phil, I still use the Bible your mother and dad gave me. And he still had good shape. Peace, goodwill to me. If it could break down barriers such as race, barriers such as I don't know what I want to say, but there are so many barriers that we can break down that and bring us into harmony one with another. Peace, goodwill to men. I'm going to finish my sermon next week. I'm sorry, I look up at the time is gone. But think of the change in your mind as a result of Christmas time. What great joy it is. We're going to be singing one verse of Just As I Am. If there's any here that needs to accept Christ and become a part of His great kingdom, we invite you to come as we sing.